about just by looking at that word? Raising your hand. Brandon.
Skin color.
Skin color. A group of people. So I know now, these are the two things that I could be reading about here in this point. So my mind is thinking. But let me look at my other word here, politics. When you hear the word politics, what word pops out at you, Mark?
President.
President, what else?
Government.
Government. When I think of politics, I think of government. I think of rules. So in my mind, I'm thinking, so how can these two connect? If I'm trying to connect them, I might think of obstacles. Oh, that's an L. Problem. So I might be reading about, I could be reading about a competition that has all these rules and regulations and problems in it. Or I could be reading about a group of people that have also these rules or regulations or have obstacles and barriers. So right now I just don't know. But my mind is thinking this is where you work with how connecting to the text. This is what's already going in my mind. So then I'm going to get started with my first two stanzas. And when you chunk the text, remember, if we're talking about marking up our text and annotating, what are you doing when you chunk the text? After you read the first two stanzas, because that's my first chunk, what do you need to do? You need to stop. You need to maybe summarize it a little bit. You just need to figure out, I need to know what's going on. So, if I begin with my stanza 1. My brother and I shopping for, and how do you pronounce that? Is it Lahita? Jafita? I don't think that J. I think it's Lahita. Hey, we'll work with it. My brother and I, shopping for Lahita, decided to get the good food over on the other side of the tracks. Now, let's look at this stanza. What can we guess Lahita means?
Food buddy.
It has something to do with food. So now, have we been introduced to two of our characters? Yeah. We have my brother and I. They are shopping. They're going to purchase some food. And they decide where. Because we have a where here, but it's not written like, this is where that figurative language come in. Because it could have said, we're going to shop for food at Food Lion. But it didn't say Food Lion. Where did it say?
Let's cross the railroad track.
On the other side of the tracks. And what does that mean to us when it says on the other side of the tracks? It could be what? On the other side of town. Now I want you to also start to think. He said good food on the other side of the tracks. So that, what does that kind of indicate about where they live?
Or
It's not good food. It could be poor. So again, you're thinking. Stanza 2. We dared each other, laughed a little, thought about it, said, what's the big deal? Thought about that. Decided we were men, not boys. Decided we should go wherever we, okay. Wherever we damn wanted to. Now, this sets up a different connotation here. Now, I want you to jot down, what does this mean? What does this stanza mean here? Jot that down, because now we start to think about the mood. What kind of mood is set here? How do this brother and this how do you think they feel about going on the other side of the track?
They don't feel good.
They feel like they're probably not what?
Scared.
Not scared, or do you think they're welcome on the other side of the track? How can we assume that from this stanza they're not really welcome on the other side of the track? Because he kind of gets an attitude about they're going back and forth thinking, should we go? Should we not go? Well, I'm a man. I'm going to go where I want to go. So that's how we can tell that maybe they're not really welcome on the other side of the track. What do you think? Jot that down in your own words. Jot it down. So I'm going to write the word here for me, attitude, because that gets me thinking there is an attitude tone in this stanza. And brother and I not welcome on the other side of town.
310, 315.
310. So, do we now see somewhat of a connection with our title? Which one do we think it is?
Race and color.
Very good. We are now dealing with, we know that we are now dealing with that group of people. And when it says race politics, it's about these obstacles. We obviously see an obstacle right here. Our obstacle is that these two, these people don't feel welcome in the other side of town. So we know that there is a barrier there. There's something there. All right, hold on. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to read 3 and 4 by yourself. Write the gist of what's important out of 3 and 4. Let's do that now. Yes, Paris. No, not right now. Sit down. What do we learn about the brother?
They African.
Nope.
He's tough and
Y'all got that from just that?
he's tough and bad.
You got me tell.
Very good. What we learn is that one brother obviously looks up to the other one. He says his brother is what? Tough and not afraid of anything. Then we learn the plan. We're going to get across, and we do realize that there is, again, a proof that we have race involved. And we know, of course, guys, we can take a guess at what race this brother and I is. But what is the other race here? White, and he says all American. So we know we're dealing with the whites against this other race that, like I said, we can take a guess at what the race is, but we don't know just yet. But we learn in these 2 stanzas, we just get a little bit more into our little story here, and we learn that one brother. I think what I put down is more important. Like, we learn about how one brother feels about the other, and we do. And you'll notice I've underlined. I know now this place is called Southgate, and it's all white, all American. So now let's flip over to the back. Let's look at 5 and 6 together. Remember, as I read it to you, think about what's important that we can pull out and do a gist or write a little summary about. We entered the forbidden narrow lane of hate. Imposed, transposed, supposed. A line of power and powerlessness. Full of meaning nothing. Those little lines that crisscross the abandon of this land, that strangle you in the days and in your nights when you dream. There we were, 2 Mexicans, 6 and 9, from Watts, no less. Oh, this was plenty reason to hate us. So, of course, now, what's important that we learn in these two? That we learn that this is that the whites versus the Mexicans. And then, also, what else do we see here? They're very what? Very young. 6 and 9. 6 and 9. We realize that these are boys, but this is a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old that have decided, look, we're men. We're going to go where we want to go. We just want to go get some shop and get some good food. That's it. So that's all that they are thinking of. But look at number 5 here. Look back at stanza 5, because these are some powerful meaning words here. How does he compare his side of the town versus Southgate?
Power.
Very good. Power and powerlessness. So, of course, his side would seem to be powerlessness. And then you have the Southgate side as the power. He also, how can we tell that this whole idea bothers them? They said that they do what? It's in their dreams. This haunts them in the day and in the night. So make sure you write down the importance of that. That this, and you could say that they think about this all day and all night. Do they believe in this? Do they believe that they should be treated this way? No. Of course not. Because they say this line of hate. So now what I want you to do, you're going to do 7 through 11 by yourself, because what I want you to think about as you read, this is what happens to these 2 young boys as they decide that I'm going to stand up for myself, for my race. And I'm going to go and I'm going to shop and find me some good food. So this is what happens to them. I want you to keep in mind of metaphors. What do we say a metaphor is? When you're comparing something without using like or as, then you have similes where you do use like or as. Tell me if you see, go ahead and underline metaphors or similes. Think about the mood of these last stanzas from stanza 7 through 11, because the mood does change. The mood switches at the end. So go ahead and do that. Make sure you are underlining important things, writing your summaries after the 2 chunks. Do that now. And when you finish with this, I'm going to give you a couple of more minutes just to work on that. But when you finish with this, then I'm going to set up, just talk you through to make sure that you have the homework piece done, ready, so that you can do your homework with no problem.